Hey, what's good, everyone? It's South Show Post. How you all doing? And today I'm joined by a very special guest. It's Kenny Ken. What's going on, bro?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Arsenal beat Chelsea. We haven't done it for about 10 years. We've seen teams like Man City, even Spurs do it in 2018. We've seen Liverpool do it a few times. We've seen Man United do it quite a lot of times in the FA Cup last season, and so not in the FA Cup, in the league and in the League Cup do it. So it's probably our turn. Trust me, Chelsea won the game. We didn't win that game. Chelsea lost that game, and they won it for us. But
A bit bittersweet though, because trending was
100%.
2-0. 2-0 was trending, wasn't it? 2-0 Chelsea before the game.
I saw 5-0. I saw 5-0 from some Arsenal fans. You know what I mean? But I think it was a game that we're always going to be like pretty up for because it's a London derby. And, I think there's still a lot of people at the football club who think that Arsenal's a bigger club than Chelsea. Still, even though, which I think a bit deluded, we're not actually a bigger club than them.
But the thing is, the one thing with Chelsea is obviously money has got them to where they are. I mean, I remember when Chelsea were just a mid-table team, and where John Spencer was their best player.
You're talking
Gavin
94
Peacock.
when they had John Spencer and Gavin Peacock. They had who they have in goal? They had Dimitri
Kari with his tracksuit bottoms in goal.
They had Eddie Newton, Sinclair,
Michael Dewberry,
Mark Steen up front.
God.
But your thing is right is that one thing about City and Chelsea, obviously a Man United fan, it's not nice here. But the thing is that they've actually done their success properly. People just think it's just player acquisitions, but off the pitch they're strong. The best people in the business, the director of football. They got a contract negotiator at both clubs, and most importantly, their academies and their training grounds are the best facilities. So of course they're going to be in a situation where they are going to be, the top clubs at the moment in the country.
And obviously they got nothing to complain about. They got owners who put money into the club. I mean, don't just take money out. They invest in the team. They invest in the infrastructure. They got nothing to worry about, to be honest with you.
And there's a mentality thing as well. You've got to realise that Chelsea and Man City, incompetence, failure is not tolerated. If you do not shape up, you're out. And this goes all levels. Mansour's not a patient man. He sacked Mancini after he won the league in 2013. Pellegrini won the league. He won the League Cup final, but he was as soon as they knew Guardiola was available, bye. And it's the same with Chelsea, with Lampard as well. I don't see that at Arsenal at all. I don't know. Man United, you've done it with Moyes, you probably done it with Van Gaal, but a lot of Van Gaal's was just the fact you're starting to play, not a set. But in terms of like Chelsea and Man City, failure, forget it, mate. It's not happening. Not tolerated.
And what were your opinions on this, the march, then obviously the protests at United going on? I mean, it's been pretty heated. Games have been cancelled. There's talk about the game tonight being cancelled. If the team can't get to the ground, how are they going to play football? As an Arsenal fan, what are your opinions on this? Do you think it's good for football and the future of the Premier League?
Well, the thing about it is you've got to look at it this way. There's a lot of manipulation of football fans. Sky TV have done a really good job in terms of like them making themselves the spokesman of the fans when it's the fans that they exploit continuously. The game, the £15 game, and then you look at the kickoff times, you look at the subscription prices, and what's happening right now is that Sky TV saw the ESL as a threat, and so did the Premier League. So what Sky TV did, which was very, very clever, but I could see it a mile away. Why don't you get your most northern pundits, i.e. Carragher and Neville, and then get them who can get their working class, how do I say it, deliveries, and talk with a lot of passion, and that way they can walk in the shoes of the Man United fans and walk in the shoes of the Liverpool fans. But it was all designed because basically it's all about control. You've got one situation where you've got, let's just say, I'm from Finsbury Park. I'm sure you're from London as well, or maybe just outside London. Don't stereotype by your accent, but say if if you're from you're in an area, say you're in a patch, and you've got the big gangsters that is in charge of that patch, and all of a sudden someone new, younger, brash, with just as much money, just as many muscle behind them, wants to sit in your patch. You're gonna right. Well, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna attack, then you're gonna offload, and then you're gonna get people who you neglect, i.e., the working class fan, to basically load the bullets, and they start shouting loudly, and that's what it is. Sky, the Premier League, blatantly sold their product in order to attract globalized fans. Kickoff times suit globalized fans. Merchandise, globalized fans. So it's basically the fan in South Africa, the fan in Australia, the fan in the Middle East, and basically the fan in maybe other countries in Europe, and the fan in the USA. But what they wanted, they all of a sudden they care about heritage fans. So the heritage fans saying, "Oh, we're outraged," and blah blah. It's manipulation. The Premier League are manipulators. Sky is the biggest manipulators ever. So is BT Sport. BT Sport right now, as we speak, are going to do something very unique. If Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, if they get to Champions League, and maybe Leicester, if they play a Wednesday game in the Champions League and they've been earmarked as a BT Sport game, their game's going to be at 7:45 on a Saturday. So basically, that is not looking after your heritage fans. What it's doing is that they know that the majority of fans across the world watch the top four: Chelsea, Man United, Man City, and Liverpool. So basically, they know they can sell that game because guess what? It's not if it do the Champions League. They know that in France, Italy, Spain, evening games on a Saturday and a Sunday are the norm. And plus, they want that audience, that Strictly audience of the BBC or the Ant and Deck audience. No, don't watch it's manipulation. And we're the biggest suckers here. Heritage English fans are the biggest suckers. We are a sure thing. And that's how they see us. So that's why I couldn't believe that, that football fans weren't seeing that. But in terms of like the protests, best protest ever, because what you did is that you told Sky, Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, yeah, thanks for the opportunity and laying on that open goal for us. But let's tell you one thing, right? We're going to deal with the Glazers, but we're going to deal with you. So basically, they killed a bird with 3 stones. Glazers, no match. Sky TV, no match. Overseas, no match. So basically, that was the most effective protest. The whole world who wanted to watch that massive, massive game. 2 teams have won the league titles 39 times between them. Won 9 European Cups, probably been in about 12 or 13 European Cup finals between them. Also won the UEFA Cup. Biggest game in Europe. They basically said, right, if the Glazers are going to take notes of that. Now you look at Arsenal, UEFA Cup game, clapping the players in. Come on, what's all that?
But Arsenal, they started off the protest, though, didn't they? They had a decent protest the other week.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
I don't know, it sort of fizzled out a little bit.
It always does at Arsenal, because you've got to realise, right, it's the Arsenal fan base. They're united up to a point when it comes to Kroenke, but they're kind of divided about, Arteta, and they were divided about Wenger. But in terms of it was a good opportunity, and I'm sure you've got to realise is that they've got even a better opportunity now, because fans will be allowed into the game in Brighton. So they're going to have about 10,000 fans. So you're going to have the 10,000 fans who you're going to hope are going to want to make themselves heard. So there's going to be definitely 10,000 people. Plus you're probably going to get about another 5 or another 10,000 fans. So this is an opportunity. Maybe, and I'm not trying to cause trouble, maybe they could stop the Brighton game. Got nothing to play for. Brighton are safe. We're safe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be good if you could do that.
Stewards don't get paid 40 grand a year. They only get paid about probably £10 an hour. You know, the doors are open. I'm not
Exactly.
creating
Because
anarchy. Why
the
not?
problem is you've got these fans who want to see the match.
Yes, and
Can they
rightly
come all
so.
this way? Do you know what I
I
mean?
don't
And
blame them. You want to see the match today. You don't want the Liverpool Man United match stop, do you?
no, but it's the bigger picture, isn't it? It's the bigger picture. I want the Glazers to go because, as we said earlier, it's like they've spent a lot of money, but we always had a lot of money even before they came in, but we were never in debt. They haven't paid off any capital off that loan that they took out of the club since 2005. We're still 500 million in debt, odd. The money that Alex Ferguson has accumulated like over those years, we had that money anyway. We could have went out and bought players, spent 300 million. It wouldn't have meant anything. But when they're just paying 43 million a year on debt, getting it, just paying the interest off, taking out dividends, giving it to their daughters, things like that. It's buying players for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for my money. It's obviously it's come to a point. 16 years. It's obviously frustrated a lot of people. And then the Super League come along. I mean, as you said, I'm from London. Yeah, I'm from Leighton, and I know about football in the community as well because
Of course,
I
Leighton
live
Orient.
right behind Leighton Orient, and I knew how important the football club was to the community. I mean, I remember Arsenal going over there in the FA Cup, and I know how that does for the community, what that does for the community, for the town, for the infrastructure. It's you can't even explain how big it is for the town, and for them to be doing that, they're showing their absolute lack of knowledge for football in this country and football in general. The culture, football is a cultural thing. It's more than just a sport. It descends generations. And they just completely neglected that or forget about these clubs. They don't mean nothing. We just want money. That's it. Just get the teams together. I mean, Real Madrid and Juventus are still fighting out, and Barcelona are still fighting out.
Yeah, but you see, that's something we're going to get to in a minute. But in terms of what you said, there's a lot of conflict. All right, I'm going to ask you a question. You're from Leighton, and everyone in the London football scene knows that Leighton Orient, what they do for the local community around Waltham Forest, and also what they do around Stratford's and the Hackney as well, because every London footballer, they've all had dealings and had a trial with Leighton Orient, and West Ham are trying to copy what you do in terms of not because they're situated in the local area, but it's because they're realising now Stratford, they want to get the potential fans to support Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. So they want them to get them in West Ham. Well, Leighton Orient, everyone knows that Leighton Orient, have a lot of situations where a lot of local kids support Spurs because it's not too far, the nearest Premiership ground. So they've got to fight with that. But one thing we're going to get to in terms of football fans is that the trouble is football fans and football in general got a conflict with themselves. And the reason why is that since the Premiership has been established, the Football League's been killed dead. We're going to get to that later. But the most important thing as well is that the Premier League want investment from billionaires. So the billionaires are not going to be like the self-made man from Hackney who's going to buy like West Ham, Leighton Orient, or someone like Jim Gregory, a local businessman in Hammersmith who bought QPR in 1968. What they want is billionaire investors. You ask any football fan, regardless of who he is, who would you rather have? The safe-made millionaire consortium to buy your local club, or a billionaire, multi-billionaire for Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, China, India, and some from the United States. Who do you want to buy your club? Oh, I want that guy from abroad who's a multi-billionaire, because we've seen what Chelsea and Man City have done. And I think that's where football fans got in conflict. They want this, but they want this owner to care about the community. You've got to realise that these guys who are billionaires, they're used to winning everything. They're used to a good PR system. And guess what? Because they're billionaires, you dance at their tune, not the other way around. Football, a lot of people, businessmen who've put money into football, especially British businessmen, they're fans. They understand that, if they run out of money, they're never going to make money at the club, and they just, yeah, it's all right. It's my, it's like yeah. They don't make money out of football. They want to be run as peaceful businesses because they're used to running successful businesses. So the conflict football fans have is that they're not going to be your heritage fan who's got, hundreds of years of supporting Arsenal, or Man United, or West Ham, or Spurs. They're going to want a situation where the best way we're going to help these guys, help their club, is make it financial viable, and then I'm going to be able to bring revenue from all over the world, blah blah, and then what I'll do is I'll buy the odd play here and there. But ultimately, this football club I'm buying is basically to promote my satellite businesses abroad, and have, maybe because I own Arsenal or Man United, my companies in the United States are going to be successful. That's how it is. Football can't have it both ways. You can't bring like, how do I say it, an administrator into your failing business and then ask the administrator to fall by your rules. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. And football should know this.
Don't you think that the fans, like in Germany, they got the 50+1, haven't they, on the ownership of the club? Do you think that the fans should own the majority of the club and the rest could be owned by...
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not actually going to own anything. The fans in Germany have basically got a situation when they own. They're only, but they're not. They're only making decisions on ticket prices and making decisions of whether on the image of the club. They're not making any financial decisions. They're not buying players. So it's and if you look at what's happening with Leipzig is the most hated club in Germany, because what's happened is that they've gone to, they've got a Red Bull in Salzburg in Austria, and basically what they've done is that they followed the rules, but all the fans are employees of Red Bull, so they've got around that and basically cheated the system and gone against the grain in Germany. But they have followed their rules. They've only just tweaked it a bit. So really, truly, not only are fans at Leipzig, having influence, they can have influence of decisions within the club, and they've basically muscled in. But again, I don't blame them, because that's the only way they can compete with Bayern Munich. It's funny they have this 51% rule in Germany, yet Bayern Munich are killing every German club. Yeah. So it's not exactly the way to go. Bayern Munich, or for a fact that anytime Bayern Munich get a rival, the first thing they did, look what they did with Leverkusen in 2002. Ballack, Lucio, make sure they bought their best players, and then best players. Dortmund challenged them. What happened? Lewandowski. Lewandowski got their best player. They got Goetze, Bayern Munich. They went and took they've took loads of other players. That's how Bayern Munich have done. So
they're taking the Leipzig manager now, haven't they?
Yeah, they're taking the Leipzig manager. So that's what Bayern do. And remember, Bayern Munich, they've when a lot of German clubs, especially Dortmund, went into financial trouble, they lent Dortmund money. So again, you say it works, but in that respect, it's false. It's saying, look at Real Madrid. They elect a president. Barcelona elect a president, but those people who elect the presidents at Barcelona and Real Madrid, they don't have a financial say. It's just a fan title. And anyway, let's be honest. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't have millionaire businessmen, and then because it's popular and everyone's saying sorry. It's a myth. Look at Chelsea. Biggest PR big load of garbage. Free fans to do what? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Nothing.
Chelsea, Chelsea, Man City, they're just feeding off the success of the Premier League in the 90s, which was Arsenal and Man United majority.
Yeah. They had to.
Yeah, and this story of Abramovich didn't really like football, and then he went to see Man United versus Real Madrid, the 4-3, and he fell in love with football when he wanted to buy a football club.
Do you believe that?
I believe it. Of course, I'm a Man United. The narrative suits me. So,
do you believe it?
I mean, I feel, I know he went to that game.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then there you go. They got a lot. I mean, they could thank us later, for that.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
a great game.
He didn't exactly make an offer for your club, and he
But
loved.
we're too
He loved.
expensive.
But he what has happened? He's a very clever man. He made sure he got the best transfer negotiator in British football, in Peter Kenyon, poached him in order to get his contacts. You had Iron Robin was meant to come to your club because he was actually being courted by Peter Kenyon, Man United, and all of a sudden Peter Kenyon went, "Well, don't go there. You come with me to Chelsea." So, that he's stolen the march. And I know Damien Duff as well was meant to go to Man United. Peter Kenyon took it with Chelsea. So what's happened is that Abramovich is that everyone says he cares about Chelsea. Abramovich cares about winning more than he cares about Chelsea. And his attitude is that, well, you've got no excuse because I've got the best transfer negotiator in Peter Kenyon. I've now replaced him with Granit Xhaka. I've got Petr Cech, who used to play for the club, which means player acquisitions can go through him. He's already got a best goalkeeper. He's basically going to go to a man. He basically went to Tuchel and said, "Look, we're here to win trophies. I want you to win this, and that, and next season change the league." You can't get clearer than that. Not like the rubbish.
He's a dream owner, isn't he? I mean, especially when he came in, Jose Mourinho came in there, and they just spent a load of money. And our owners, I mean, they've spent money, but they've really not really spent it wisely. This is the
but you're never going to spend it wisely because if you look at the situation with respect to Man United, British players. Right, the best British players will go to Man United because it's Man United. Harry Maguire could have went to Man United instead of Man City. Why? Because Man United, in his eyes, is a bigger club. As a kid, he saw Man United win everything. Yeah. But what about the guy in Europe? Wants to win, so he's not going to go to Man United. He's going to go to Chelsea. He's going to go to Man City because he wants to win at Chelsea, see them win a European Cup. Hazard chose Chelsea, and then. Players want to play for Pep Guardiola. So, in that respect, you are spending money like Arsenal spending money, but you're not getting the first choice, are you? Because the best players are invariably going to want to play for, Chelsea and Man City, and maybe want to play for Jurgen Klopp as well. So, it's an auction, and, what you bring to the table, Man United, the tradition isn't going to win medals for the best players in the world.
Can you in regards to United and transfers, I mean, players like Jude Bellingham going to Dortmund instead of going to United, it says a lot, to be honest with you, about United. I mean, United used to be the big club, for the young players. I mean, if United went in for Jude Bellingham, they would, more times than not getting.
When would Jude Bellingham play, though? Jude Bellingham's already playing, and I think that's the situation now. There's a lot of young British players are seeing, players that go over. They've seen that Reece Nelson, he had a relative success at Hoffenheim. They've seen Jordan Sancho have a very good career at Dortmund. Jude Bellingham is going to see it. Whether we like it or not, a lot of big clubs are basically forsaking the gems around them. Liverpool have done fantastic. They bought relegated players and players for Southampton and became the best. Before they had the brainwave of playing their best midfielders in defence, they were probably one of the best teams in Europe. Yeah. All on Wijnaldum, Mane, Henderson, Van Dijk, all players that will win their lows. I don't understand why a lot of clubs in Europe, clubs in this country, do not tap into the British market. Spurs used to do that really well, tap in the British market and get the best English players. Hence the fact that they managed to sign match Arsenal and probably slightly overtake us over the pitch. But even now, they're looking at a foreign player. And I think that, clubs are just looking, maybe you look at, Scott Sinclair went to Man City, didn't work out. There's loads of British players who've tried to go there and haven't worked out. But, John Stones is still dividing opinion. So maybe that's probably why they do that. But Jude Bellingham was not going to get games at Man United.
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, he's always been a good player, and I always rated him highly. I rate him highly than McTominay and players like that, who are playing in our central midfield already. I think it depends. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't one for playing the youth at the moment. He's very
Yeah.
careful with what he's doing. He's not like Alex Ferguson, who would have just put him in the
Yeah,
team.
but it's because of fans. Look, I'm not saying there's a lot of fans who are not having Ole at Man United. They're not having him. I don't know if you're one of them, but I know, obviously, you know some fans who are on the YouTube channels
I'm
in
on
general.
the fence. I'm on the fence a little bit.
Yeah, you see, because the thing about it is that I don't know why you are. I can only assume, and you correct me, that, well, he's not really a big name, and he's only managed at Molde, and well, he wasn't a success at Cardiff. But whatever happens, he's not. They think but a lot of people at Man United think that he got the job on friendship, but he was your reserve team manager for quite a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's certain parts of his management style. He's got a bit of a favouritism going on with certain players.
Who?
And he plays his
favourites. Which ones?
Well, McTominay is one. He always plays him every game. He'll play Lindelof every game. Maguire every game. Wan-Bissaka every game.
But you rate Wan-Bissaka.
I do rate him. Yeah, but this is the thing. He's got to rotate a little bit.
Do you think he's unlucky not to be part of the discussion for the right back at England?
Yeah, of course. Because when you look at our right back option, he's picking Kieran Trippier on what grounds? Kieran Trippier hasn't played for Atletico Madrid for months. So why is he not picking him? That's England. They do my blood pressure. England, it's just. England throughout the decades. I remember Euro '96, and all these times, like United had just won the double at that time, and they didn't pick Beckham or Scholes in that squad, or Cole in that squad.
Yeah.
When they played Germany, imagine bringing on an Andy Cole in extra time. It would have been better than. Well, they had Darren Anderton,
or Paul Gascoigne. Paul Gascoigne, who broke his knee in his leg, couldn't get to that little.
That goal! Yeah.
You still think about that, don't you?
To this day, I've never been so upset. I've been inches because he hesitated a little bit on that.
Yeah, I know.
Cross,
what about the situation when was it Addison hit the post from a yard out?
Yeah, well, the goalkeeper came to him and then he sort of clipped it and it hit the post. How unlucky. England should have won that. I'm going way back.
But
England should have won that.
I think if we go to digress to England, Gareth Southgate is the wrong manager at the right time for England.
Yeah, I agree, because we've got the best attacking players in Europe, I think.
One small problem with England, though. On the problem with England, you've got everything. We think we've got great strikers. We know we've got defenders, bit competent-ish. Goalkeeper, maybe an issue. We think we sport choice at right back and left back. But one thing England lack is someone who can control possession. Someone like a Luka Modric, a Jorginho, of Italy. Because I still think that England will struggle in this tournament if they don't get enough of the ball. They have to keep the ball, especially when they're playing potentially the second last 16. If they're playing France, Portugal, or Germany. Possession has to be key for them, because there's no good, playing to the crowd and playing the English way. These teams will murder you. Even Germany, who are bereft of confidence, will keep the ball better than England, and that's why I don't think England will win the tournament. What's that?
Would you play the double pivot at England if you?
Well, it's not so much formations. You could play any formation. You could play like the double pivot. You could play a 4-3-3. But who's there to collect possession? You look at the semi-final between England and Croatia. England had a day rest because they went to penalties. Croatia had extra time against Russia. No, had extra time against Denmark. Then they had extra time against Russia. Both of them went to penalties. Croatia won both the penalty shootouts. Everyone assumed that Croatia would be tired, but they weren't tired, because in that second half, after they equalised, they kept possession better. Modric kept the ball. England couldn't get the ball off Modric, and then that's when they struggled. So when they went to goal down, they couldn't get the ball, and I think that's where England struggled. And it's always been the case. Maybe since 1990, definitely in the World Cups in '88. Sorry, in the World Cup in '86 and the European Champions in '88. England over the years still haven't been able to keep possession, and I think in this tournament, this is going to be it's going to shout loudly. You're going to see it. If if I digress a little bit, look at the League of Nations. England played Holland, lost
A weak
3-1.
Holland as well. It's a weak Holland
Yeah,
side, to be honest.
but Holland kept the ball. Holland
Yeah.
kept possession. England
Yeah.
were running around, but Holland kept the ball. If you don't keep possession, then what will happen is that against the better teams who pass the ball better, England will struggle. And I think they would struggle in this tournament. I can't see them win this tournament until they produce a player like that. Harry Winks was the heir apparent, but he don't get games for Spurs.
There you go. And the thing is, it's Gareth Southgate as well. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. You'll have Alexander-Arnold, Reece James and Wan-Bissaka as right backs. You need someone like Wan-Bissaka in the squad, I feel, because one-on-ones, he's brilliant. And when you need to defend, sometimes you need to defend in certain games, he'll be brilliant to bring on, I feel. And I feel like if he ends up picking Kieran Trippier and players of that ilk, I can't see him going far because games are won in defence and central mid as well. And it's all well and good having the attacking players that we've got, but if you ain't got that protection behind you and that, as you said, keeping the ball, someone who can keep the ball, a Michael Carrick type player as well, someone like that they haven't got anymore.
A player that England never appreciate. But if you noticed that, that he was chatting a lot to Jack Wilshere, to Jack Grealish when he was at a Villa game, having a little chat. Now, a lot of people, it looks like that Jack Grealish is going to be that sort of player who's not so much going to be with his passing, but because he runs at teams, he's going to sort of give England that dimension, open doors. Because everyone talks about Phil Foden, quick feet, brain and everything. But there's something about Grealish. You look at his performance at Belgium, he is prepared to do that. And I think maybe that is where England are going to probably think, right, we kind of got a player that can, keep possession, but maybe we've got a Paul Gascoigne kind of player from 1990 that can, take a player on.
That's a Grealish type player. I think Grealish
and maybe that's where, England will have that sort of variety. Maybe because you look at England under Hoddle and under Terry Venables, the Christmas tree was all about having bodies in midfield because they couldn't, control possession. So they make sure, right, we're going to not be outnumbered in midfield. We're going to be compact. The wing backs in the World Cup blatantly to have a 5 when they're out of possession because they can't, and then have a 3 because they knew that they were going to play teams who can control possession. Argentina, that last 16 game was all a situation when Argentina had players like Varane can keep possession. So to make sure that England are outnumbered, play a back 3, and then David Beckham gets sent off.
I know. England would have won that, I feel. I think they would have went on to win that. Who knows? Who knows?
How many times in English football do we say, that could have happened? If only
the Campbell goal. That was a goal.
Yeah.
That was a bit soft for me. England haven't had the rub of the green as well. Let's say Euro 2004, that goal against Portugal was disallowed.
What? Campbell again? Was it Campbell again, wasn't it?
Come on. It's like they don't want England to, go any further.
England got to make their own luck in it. Make your own luck.
Against Croatia, I would say it like this. Playing Dyer, you're playing with 10 men. You've got a player like Dyer who's useless, in my opinion. He's useless.
I bet he gets in the squad, though.
I don't know how. I would rather play, oh my goodness, I'd rather play a youth player than play him.
Sterling needs to come to the party as well.
Yeah. We got Greenwood, we got Sancho, Foden, Mount. There's some good attacking players there. Kane up front, Yeah,
Saka, they're all the same sort of player, though, isn't it? Which one of them? Name me one of them that can keep possession and can actually control possession and control the tempo of the game and enable England, especially when they're a goal up or drawing the game, they don't give the ball away. Because at the end of the day, England are going to give the ball away a lot against Croatia is in their group. Czechs, Czech Republic, obviously they're not as good as England. England expect to go out of the group, but they could go out because, I expect Croatia with Modric to be able to keep control possession better, and I expect the Czechs to be better on the ball as well. That's the
think
problem.
England being at Wembley might help them a lot.
Yeah, you could, the passion of the crowd, but it's going to be hard. Say if you're trying to, get that goal to make sure you get in the last 16 without the ball. How you can't, or get that equaliser, in the semi-final in Russia you ain't got the ball. Ow.
Yeah, I mean, Croatia played on the right side of England's defence, I think. They put Perisic on that side, and he just caused us havoc. Kyle Walker in the centre-back position just got caught with Ashley Young. It's just not good enough at that level, and they got exposed in that game.
Sterling going off, which for exhaustion hurt England, because I think with Sterling, if you look at Rashford is the sort of person who would just use his pace, but he'll try and get around you, but he hasn't got quick feet. Sterling's got really quick feet, and I think that's what Phil Foden's got, is quick feet. So it's ball retention and quick feet, especially against tight defenders, and I think that's where the Jack Wilshires, the Sterlings, and the Fodens will be very much needed by England.
Yeah, Jack Wilshere, that's the name.
No, not Jack Wilshere, Jack Grealish. Grealish, not Jack Wilshere, Grealish.
He's a big disappointment, though. I had high hopes of Jack Wilshere. He was technically one of the best players we produced in years, but he just didn't. It's a bit like Ravel Morrison, at United. There's players there just don't reach their potential, which is a bit.
Yeah, but Ravel Morrison was never going to make it as a player. In fact, the fact that he actually played the game, he overachieved, because simple reasons that with those sort of mental health issues and issues outside, you cannot succeed as a footballer, especially if the minute you play for Man United, you leave East Manchester behind. You leave like Gorton in the area behind, and you become a professional footballer. He thought he could still be with his mates. Danny Welbeck took the game seriously. He made it. He's not Danny Welbeck, Pogba, and all that lot. They're all part of his.
Danny Welbeck, didn't he? He overachieved a lot.
Danny Welbeck overachieved, yeah, definitely overachieved. What he won at Man United and what he won in terms of the FA Cup at Arsenal, 2 FA Cups at Arsenal, 100, but he's got the most out of his career. The player who wants it the best doesn't. The best players don't always make it.
Exactly. I want to bring it into Arsenal. What are your feelings on Arteta? I mean, he's won a trophy, which is more than Ole has at the moment. Do you feel like he's got a future at Arsenal?
No. For me personally, no. I want him replaced. I want him replaced. He's never convinced me as a number one. He's got. I think Arteta's biggest mistake he's made since he's come to the football club is that he hasn't done what Tuchel's done at Chelsea, and he hasn't done what Moyes has done at West Ham. The first thing you do at a football club, identify a clear playing style for the players you have, and play to the players at your disposal strengths. Arsenal's strengths is attacking football. Front foot football. You've got the most expensive front three in English football. Lacazette, 55,000. Sorry, Lacazette, 50,000. Aubameyang, 55,000. Pepe, 72 million. 52 million. Sorry, let me rephrase it. 50 million. Lacazette broke our record. 55 million, between 55 million and 60 million. Aubameyang broke a record. 72 million. Pepe broke a record. You've got a front three worth 200 shots there. Yet he's playing a brand of football which is alien to us. Yeah, he's trying to make us difficult to beat. He's trying to make us compact. He's getting hero-worship because he plays a back three. But moving forward, you can't play like that.
The game against Villarreal disappointed me without a striker.
And that's the thing. You look at Arteta. If he played to the player strengths and a clear playing style, we would have got better results. 100%, we've got better results. Team selections are wrong. Tactics are poor. The preparation is not good enough. And the results are horrendous. 13 league games. Horrendous. Record amount of games lost at home this season. Horrendous. All on his watch. And most of the games are down to his poor management. He gifted Villarreal.
The first leg.
He gifted them. No, second leg as well. He gifted them.
Because one goal he did.
Yeah, all right. he took off Aubameyang. He took off his best. He took off Aubameyang, who's not playing well, but hit the post twice when we needed a goal, and he brings on Willian. That's a sackable offence. He's got to go.
That's slander. That is.
But the whole thing with Arteta, and the problem I have with Arteta, man management's terrible. I mean, last week he was caught with his pants down, basically saying there's players at the football club who have basically, I ain't going to use words to the effect, but he basically said there's players who are coachable and players who are uncoachable. He said it. Yet yesterday, after we've won, he's blaming the media. He's saying that they twisted his words. Garbage. You said it. It's there in black and white. You said it.
Sounds like the beginning of the end.
Saliba.
Like
the situation with Saliba, right? No problem with Saliba, right? If you don't rate Saliba, sell him. I've got no problem with that. But the way you handle that is poor. The way we attack is basically, this is Arsenal's attack, is basically give the ball to Saka and see if he can win the game for us. That is our attack. And that's his attacking prowess. Saka is basically our Lee Sharp. You remember Lee Sharp?
Yeah, no, well.
Do you remember 91? 1991?
Yeah,
when he was 19? And where you won the European Cup Winners' Cup, and you won the league.
Barcelona,
and you beat a 6-2 at Highbury. Lee Sharp, basically, your football, give the ball Lee Sharp, and he'll win the game for us. That is actually how we play with Saka. That is a complete replica. There are no tactics whatsoever. 1 minute we're a back three, then we're a back four. Everyone talks about our improvement in terms of points wise since Boxing Day. What happened on Boxing Day is the 3 days before, Man City murdered us in the League Cup. We had a COVID scare. He had to play Smith Rowe, didn't he? He had to change it a bit, and then all of a sudden he's a hero for that. Every time he gets credit. If Smith Rowe signs a new contract, oh, it's Arteta. Odell comes, oh, it's Arteta. Balogun signs a new contract, oh, it's Arteta. Yet he still has Eddie Nketiah in the squads ahead of him. Yet he signed a new contract. So if the sun's shining, oh, that's Arteta. Arteta takes credit for that as well. But
who would you put in place of him though? Who would you bring in?
Ten Hag. I'll bring in Ten Hag for simple reasons. I think he's working because if he doesn't come to Arsenal, then Spurs will go and get him. And if Spurs will get him, and then if say Tuchel doesn't work out, then he's right. He'll go to Chelsea. We need to be proactive with who we get. We need to get a top class manager. This experiment of getting an inexperienced coach hasn't worked. All this. Don't buy into the garbage that you're going to see in some of the other fan channels, especially the main one, where give him a bit of time, give him his own window.
Can't give him time.
Yeah,
but 10th place for Arsenal.
But you look at the situation. Oh, it was COVID. Didn't have a pre-season. Neither did Man United. Neither did Chelsea. Neither did other clubs. Yet this guy is always an excuse for this man, and I don't understand it. It's becoming a situation where the Arsenal fans want him to work out, they want to be, and then. You look at the sort of caveat. Oh, if you don't get into the Europa League final, we want him sacked. So people who were buying him want him fired. We beat Chelsea. Oh, maybe give him a bit of time. And then those people behind Arteta are giving him till Christmas to see if it works out. So basically, you're giving a person who's been a failure at the football club another season of ruin, which means no prospect of challenge for the title, no prospect of getting in the top four because we've wasted the season by keeping a man who's not good enough. Where's the logic?
A little bit more investment from Kroenke, he can do any better challenge for the top four.
Yeah, but he has been getting investment. He's got a front three worth 300 million shots. He's got Jack. He's got all these players that Kroenke spent big money on. He's definitely. We didn't pay Partey's release clause in instalments. We paid it cold cash. The money's been spent. The money's there. But the problem is that the mentality of the Kroenkes is not the mentality of a Chelsea and Man City. It's like we hope it works. That's the problem with Arsenal.
I mean, you got the tweeting from Saliba early in the season. I mean, as well. I mean,
well, he's a young lad, didn't he? He's a young lad who wants to play football, and he generally, I mean, look at the mantra. The guy we bought the guy in the 1920 season, sent him out on loan, so he's been on loan in France. And all of a sudden, you've got a new manager who now says he needs to go out on loan. Hello, he's just been on loan already. You don't rate him. That's not a problem. Look, you know football, and you know full well John Sheridan and Gary Megson were bought by Brian Clough in 84 and 89. Pre-season, he had a look at them. By the start of those seasons in 84, 85 and 89, 90, Gary Megson ends up in Newcastle, doesn't kick a ball for Forest. John Sheridan ends up at Sheffield Wednesday, doesn't kick a ball for Nottingham Forest as well. It happens. Clive Allen, 980, bought him from QPR, 19 years old. All of a sudden, plays in pre-season. Beginning the start of that season is at Crystal Palace because we want Kenny Sansom. It happens in football. Sometimes you make a mistake and you admit it. Arteta, admit you don't rate him, and I'll just shake your hand and boom. Stop wasting our time and wasting the lads' time. Poor man management by Arteta.
John Sheridan, that's a blast one. But Alex Ferguson actually wanted him as well. Yeah, he was a good player.
Alex Ferguson wanted Paul Gascoigne. He went to Tottenham because
last minute he went to Tottenham. Because they bought his dad an ass and his sister a sunbed. Oh, can you imagine what history would have been like if Gascoigne went to Man United? It would. Alex Ferguson would have looked after him proper, I think.
Well, Terry Venables is one of the biggest myths as coach. He's a myth. He's lived off winning the league at Barcelona and the fact that he won it with Steve Archibald, and then he had Gary Lineker. He couldn't win a European Cup final in his own country against Steaua Bucharest. I mean, he probably and in Euro '96, the way he goes on, you would have thought he won the tournament. Myth.
England had a great side that time.
Yeah, but the way Terry Venables goes on, they talk about this like gold dust about what a great coach he is and blah blah. It was a close shot with Venables. He's a myth. Glenn Hoddle was a better coach than him.
But if you study Euro '96, we were very fortunate in that tournament.
Yeah,
I mean, I can remember
Switzerland draw, Scotland struggling,
Spain won.
Got the goal. Spain, yeah, and then Holland, Spain 2 offside goals.
They scored a goal. It was onside. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the situation where when Stefan Kuntz in the semi-final, where he scores a great header, and all of a sudden the Hungarian referee said there was pushing on Stuart Pearce. Come on, man.
It wasn't.
That was never a foul.
That was never a foul. No.
You know what I mean?
I think England, like in that tournament, they could have won it. They could have won it if they had the right manager. I think I was always a bit bitter about Andy Cole, Beckham and Scholes. Only Gary Neville made it from the double winning side.
The late Mark Ellison shafted Andy Cole by saying he about the amount of chances, and Glenn Hoddle shafted him 2 days later saying he needs too many chances to score. So Andy Cole, talking about Andy Cole, someone needs to tell me why Andy Cole, after Alan Shearer, Andy Cole has got the second most goals as a Premiership striker. Yet he never gets celebrated. Ian Wright and Alan Shearer get celebrated. What about Andy Cole? And it was actually his ex-wife who said that. I still don't understand why Andy Cole is never celebrated for his achievements in football. What?
It's true. Why? I mean, he was a big part of our treble-winning season as well for United. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah.
I mean, that goal against Tottenham in obviously 1999. I mean, when he chipped it over the keeper.
Bittersweet for me. Bittersweet because we needed Spurs to beat you in order to win the title that year.
Draw, yeah. I mean, we needed to win because you beat Villa, then you 1-0, and if we drew that game, you would have won the league.
To be honest, right, we lost. Man United won a treble when you beat us at Villa Park in this replay. The minute you beat us, you're always going to win that was your mentality because Bergkamp misses that penalty.
Yeah, if he scores that penalty, it's all different. It's different.
You don't win a treble. We win the league.
Not at all because our heads would have dropped.
And you'll probably just win the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, because there were games against Leeds, which Leeds done us a huge favour. Hasselbank done us a huge favour. There was that game. I mean, against Liverpool, we struggled 2-2.
We beat Spurs that day. Innit?
Yeah. Just it was just one of them seasons, But But that's the thing. That's what I wanted to talk about. I mean, Arsenal, Man United, back in them days. I mean, obviously it was like a back and forth with Arsenal, Man United. Arsenal one season, United the next season. Do you ever see a rivalry like that coming back into English football? Because I feel like English football's mellowed a little bit. Like
it's a good question. It's a good question because you look at it between I think what's happened between 1997 and 2004. It was a very good question before Chelsea arrived, because I think the rivalry actually started when Man United wanted more time off for the semi-final because they're playing Borussia Dortmund, and they thought they wanted assistance because of fixture congestion. And Arsene Wenger who just came to the country from Japan. He was saying, why is everyone favouring? Yeah, sorry. Hello.
Yeah, I can see
it. Yeah. One day, a match of the day, Sir Alex, after you lose to Derby 3-2, basically had that famous interview saying that who is Arsene Wenger think he is? He's just come to this country from Japan. He's never fought for a title. He should concentrate on ear rights tackles. And unless he's had this situation, I suggest he keeps his mouth firmly shut. Yeah. From then on, that rivalry between Arsenal and Man United was ignited. And next season, I think what's happened, what I loved about Arsenal and Man United, basically, you took each other to different levels.
Yeah.
It's like there was a kind of a level, like it was like Vieira's game went to another level because he knew twice a season he's playing Keane, and Keane's game went up to level. It's like, Man United.
Because you couldn't let go of it for a second. Yeah. Every game you had to be on top.
And I think what's happened is that it was like one of those things where the 98-99 season, probably both teams played one of their best football. Arsenal only let in 16 goals, yet we lost the league by a point. And we only lost 3 games. Yet Man United lost about the same amount. We lost 4 games, Man United 3. But it was so close. And even Chelsea were about a couple of points behind. So they were challenging. But it was really Arsenal, Man United. And then that season took another level. Then I think because of what happened with Villa Park, you won the treble. You went on to another level for about a couple of years. And we went in kind of decline. We had to bring in players like Perez. Henry had to come in. We lost Anelka. Adams was getting older, so we bought Sol Campbell. We had to replace Lee Dixon, so we got Vicente, also known as Lauren. Then Freddie Ljungberg came at the team as well. So we had to rebuild. And the 2001-2002 season, which is the best Arsenal team ever, not the Invincibles. That team is better than the Invincibles.
I thought the 97-98.
Yeah, the Invincibles was not as good as the 2001-2002 season. That is where we played our best football and we were more compact. So we won that double. Then you reacted because remember you had Van Nistelrooy and you won it the next season. And then we thought, right, we reacted to Man United winning the league. So we went and the Invincible one. And then all of a sudden, Chelsea came along and spoiled it all and changed it. And then what has happened is that Man United had to basically rebuild through Rooney and Ronaldo, and also they still had Gary Neville, and they bought probably your best signing was Van der Sar. You actually bought a number 1, and I think that after that it was like Chelsea under Mourinho and Abramovich's instability. You basically won a title 3 years in a row and won the European Cup in between that and League Cup because of you built your team around Cristiano Ronaldo and Rooney. We were nowhere.
This is with the Glazers. They take credit for that. They feel that
they
were successful.
Well, yeah,
they were successful. But the thing is, that team was being built for a few years.
But the Glazers only came to Man United because of the bloody horse. Because Alex Ferguson, because of the Irish guys, isn't it? McManus and Stagnier or something. Yeah. To this day, I don't know what Alex Ferguson probably wasted a couple of years of Man United development with that stupid, silly, dispute. He was never going to win. They gave it as a gift to you. Do you seriously think that millionaires are going to let you have the stud fees? Come on, Sir Alex. Come on, mate.
Alex Ferguson was very stubborn, isn't it? I mean, the same with
But
players.
I think he was selfish there. I think he was selfish, but you know,
the
getting back
way
to
he treated Bex, the way he treated Stam, I
yeah,
felt was a little
but
bit.
you've got to remember one thing, that he was right with all those decisions, though. He was right.
Yeah,
But
he was successful.
He was successful. Liverpool under Bob Paisley were like that. Look at Jimmy Case. He won everything. Liverpool won 2 European Cups. You know, they sent Jimmy Case to Brighton. Phil Neal was meant to be getting that job at Liverpool instead of Dalglish. They said stuff that. Phil Neal, you know, left to the half. They gave the good to Dalglish. You know, when you're at big clubs, you're successful. You've got to make big decisions. But in terms of a rivalry, I think maybe, you know, if you talk about the modern times, the 21st century, and maybe the late 2010s and early 2020s, I think they were looking at Man City and Liverpool being a bit of a rivalry until, you know, Van Dijk got injured. But I think if you're looking at that kind of rivalry, maybe you could look like that. Or now Tuchel's here, and then, you know, the Champions League final between Man City and Chelsea, that could be a rivalry. But it's never going to be like Arsenal, Man United, back in the day in the early years of the Premier League. It's not going to happen.
It's not happening. That aged me. I thank Arsenal for aging me during that period.
Well, you aged us. You got to remember, you caused a lot of misery. You know, when we lost at Villa Park, when you know, Giggs scored that goal. That was it took me weeks to get over that.
Yeah, I mean, it was stressful though for us as well. I mean, then the Champions League final, what they put us through, it was so stressful during that period.
If you don't mind me saying so, Sal, I think Man United should have gone on to appeared in more Champions League finals instead. I think what's happened, that team didn't kick on. I think, you know, one thing at Man United, which you did, I think, especially in the league, you try to play more European, especially in Europe, because you try to keep possession and you try to, you know.
He played the 5 in the midfield.
Yeah, and I think bringing in Quiros helped and killed you in terms of Europe. But I look at Man United now. I think Man United have always played their best football when they've played wingers.
Yeah,
I agree. Man United will not win the league or win the Champions League unless they go back to what they had with Giggs on one side and Beckham on one side, Lee Sharp, Kanchelskis. And maybe you go back to the 60s, you know, when you had like players like George Best on one side, Bobby Charlton as well. Man United play what I call the inspirational style of football. And that style of football has always made them successful through the 50s to the 60s, and then definitely with under Fergie. And if you look at even the 70s and 80s when you were struggling, you know, I remember Steve Copper on the right, and you had players like Gordon Hill. So Man United, that team. Arsenal played football with it on the front foot.
70s was Arsenal's time. Yeah, we were languishing in the second division at that time. So, you know what I mean? When you were winning double.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Liverpool took successful. Liverpool, you got to remember one thing, and I'm going to give you some hope now as a Man United fan. You're the biggest club in the world and the biggest club in England. If Man United get it right again, like they did under Fergie, none of us have got no chance. City ain't got a chance. Chelsea ain't got a chance. Arsenal would definitely have a chance. Everyone knows the situation because you get the right owner, you have the right mentality. You're killing teams in England. It was always the case. Even when Liverpool's successful, you know, Peter Robinson had a conversation with Graham Souness in the 80s. He said, if that lot over the work down the M62 get it right, we've had it. Still the same now. Man United get it right, the rest of football are going to suffer.
Yeah. On that note, Kenny, it's been brilliant today. A great chat. I mean,
I've enjoyed it. It's always good to talk.
Me too, man. We should do it again sometime. Definitely.
You know where I am. I don't. You know where I am.
Definitely, 100%. Cheers, Kenny. You have a good evening. I'm going to watch the game now. So
what game?
Hopefully, there's a game on.
Have you checked your phone yet to see if
I haven't.
So you mean no announcement, no friends of yours texting you to say, "Oh, there's going to be delay." Remember last week we had kick was delayed by half an hour, and then that half an hour became 2 hours, and then
I knew it would be. I mean, I got off at Manchester Piccadilly and I saw Even at Manchester Piccadilly, you know,
Oh, you
it
didn't get on the
was
pitch then?
no, not me at all. No, no, I'm a key worker. I can't be doing anything criminality, anything like that. I can't get a
Sure.
criminal record.
I'm a key worker as well. I think we're all. I think if you work in a local authority like I do as well, I think they do care. I think you working as a key worker or a local authority, you're actually 24/7 representing the Islington Council right now.
Yeah, I'm
Right
NHS,
now,
so
yeah, right now. Me speaking to you, I am representing Islington Council. Even in my sleep, I'm
yeah.
representing English
And if they
Council.
see you on
Same with you.
TV throwing flares and
Oh,
things like that,
disciplinary, mate.
so you're out of it. I know people have been sacked in Manchester. I know people have been sacked because of
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a situation in Copenhagen where the venerable and base annoying,
Galatasaray, wasn't it?
yeah, Galatasaray, Piers Morgan in the Daily Mirror basically printed photos of Arsenal fans allegedly getting into fights with Galatasaray. A lot of I know one guy who was a union man who worked for Hackney Council, and one of the people he was representing was pictured by the Daily Mirror photographers, i.e. Piers Morgan's paper, and they had this thug. So basically, what's happened is that guy had disciplinary of Hackney Council and kept his job like that. Remember the guy in the post office who worked in the post office in Upper Street. Him and his brother. His brother worked for president. He lost his job because of the front page of the Daily Mirror, but he got reinstated because they showed him running after a Galatasaray fan.
Exactly. You represent the company you are, isn't it? You know,
Mm.
and they can't have it. Me as an NHS worker, I mean, I can imagine, my goodness me, it would be.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I try to stay away from the camera a little bit. Also, there's too many cults within the Man United fan base. There's all this this podcast hating thing going on.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Sal, though? You've got to realise, right, and I say this with great respect, the biggest star in Manchester United is the club. The club is a star, the same with Arsenal. You've got to realise these podcasters, right? We don't want to hear about your beef with the next podcaster. So what if someone slagged you off on Twitter? So what if another podcaster slagged you off? When people turn on turn on their YouTube, they want to hear you talk about strikers, midfielders. They want to talk about the club. They want to talk about the match. They don't care about your beef. You're not that important. You're just someone who's got a big following and you've managed to take your channel to another level. That's all you are. Remember, people watch for the football. It's not about you. The minute you go down that road of having beef, it don't work.
Being a London fan, I mean, I've had it all my life. Obviously, being a Cockney Red, it's been a bit difficult. I've been I was season ticket holder for years. I mean, and it's
funny.
very difficult.
It's funny. You know what, Sal? I'm sure it's like I love it. Like London Scousers, London Rigs, going in a full explanation of that.
We have to.
The full explanation is like you have to tell us. You have to reassure us that you actually go to games.
We are fans. I have to tell you.
I don't have to explain myself.
I have to tell a Man United fan bit by bit everything about, even when we go to Champions League games, how I get the coach to Manchester, meet him at Manchester Airport, go to the ground in Europe, wherever we are. This happens, that happens. I have to literally bring up situations that have happened at the game to prove myself to them, because there are top reds, they call them.
Yeah, but you know what's happened? Liverpool have the same situation as well. I don't know what it's like with people from Greater Manchester. I know like a lot of Scousers. They don't really like fans who are not from Liverpool. That's the impression, because I think with Man City, it's Manchester and Greater Manchester. Because if you look at the demographics of Manchester, Greater Manchester and parts of Lancashire is Man United, plus around the world. But in Manchester, the city is Man City. Liverpool,
Man City, yeah.
Liverpool. If you go to like Liverpool, the city of Liverpool is more just as much, probably Everton. But you go to Merseyside and the surrounding areas is Liverpool, then around the world is Liverpool. So I get where, I suppose that's where people, but yeah, you've got to realise, TV. You know, if there was no TV, you'd be supporting your local club. TV, you know, and people want to be associated with winners. I'm not saying you did, but, you know, when you first put on the TV, you probably saw Frank Stapleton or Brian Robson, and that's why you supported Man United. You know what I mean?
I was fortunate. Everyone supported Arsenal at my school. I mean, in Leighton, everyone supported Arsenal, mainly because of Ian Wright at the time, and you know, and one guy from Manchester when I was at school just showed me a magazine of Man United, and I learnt about the Busby Babes and the Munich disaster, and I fell in love with the club. You know,
but Man United have always had that situation. I think the history of Man United is like, even throughout the 60s and 70s, they've always had fans from all over the country because of the George Best, Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law, and then previous to that, obviously, God bless his soul, the Busby Babes. And that's a history. So you fall in love with the club because of the history. Liverpool have the same sort of thing where, the 70s, winning all the titles, and Hillsborough as well. Yeah. Both Liverpool and Man United have had some terrible disasters, which I don't understand why they both sing revolting chants about it, both disasters, when you both suffered in really harmful ways.
It's just the history between the fan groups, a different set of fans, it's just beef between them. It's ridiculous in one way, mainly to do with success, in my opinion. They're both
I think so. And I think it's to do with history as well, the cities as well. Liverpool and Manchester, those cities don't like each other.
They don't, yeah. So, but Kenny, thanks, man. It's been really appreciate you coming on.
I'm glad you asked.
I hope I look at the game right now. I think it's kicked off and we're 2-0 up. I'm just fingers crossed. But
I wish you the best anyway. I don't know who to support when Man United and Liverpool play. I really don't.
Well, enjoy it anyway, mate. Cheers, pal.
Look after yourself, Sam.
Cheers, brother.
All right.